Welcome to How to Money with Kole and Cole.
I'm Kole.
And I'm Cole.
We coach people every day on their money and how to plan for the future.
As financial advisors, we're here to have an honest conversation and educate you on how to money. Intentionally and passionately to hit your money goals. And we'll throw in some sports talk along the way.
Our mission and goal of this podcast is to improve your money journey and help you create the financial life you deserve.
So let's talk money.
And sports.
Welcome back to How to Money with Kole and Cole. I'm Bailey Ashbrook, Investment Advisor Representative at Central Financial Group, and I would say MVP of the office.
Of course you would.
Day in, day out.
Best basketball player, I'm sure.
Well,
but I'm Cole Peterson. I am the partner and investment advisor representative at Central Financial Group here in Fort Dodge, and I am the most experienced financial advisor in the room.
He's old.
Cole Jaskey, Investment Advisor Representative. I don't have anything. They have, both quick-witted, off the cuff, little one-liners, but I don't have anything. I'm going to be original.
Don't be modest. You're a diehard Peacock. Went into the people don't know this, and this is kind of relates to this episode, but Cole Jaskey was on a TV show. He was gonna go big time in NFL.
Oh boy,
called The Rookie.
Yeah,
he was at rookie camp with Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
And he could claim the fact that he is the only person to ever go to an NFL training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to an NFL training camp, but as a spectator. But
I was at some event where you had to, write. It was a small group, and you had to write down on a card like something that no one would guess in the room, and you had to guess who's who. And that was I was on a TV show once, or a reality.
That's a cool thing, and that's a big deal.
Show. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Caleb Westall, producer here at Spin Market, producer of the podcast for How to Money with Kole and Cole. They almost forgot to introduce me.
Yeah,
so,
we got sidetracked.
Yeah, so I'm just here. I'm here today.
Caleb's over there going, "Hey guys, still here."
We were giving Cole J props because he was trying to be modest, and it kind of pertains to today's episode. I'm excited. We're gonna peel back some layers and actually talk about who are these guys giving all these great recommendations and what qualifies them. And I think it's a big deal that Cole played football. It shows his dedication, kind of translates to work. But, you didn't make it to the NFL, and some of your team might have need you now. You're not doing too hot.
I know, yeah, the rough time to be a Steelers. I think we're, probably the bottom of the barrel in the NFL right now. So defense was supposed to be hyped up. Quarterback situation, we're playing a rookie already early in the season. So.
And you won your first game, right?
Yeah.
Against the Bengals.
Yeah, we beat the Bengals.
Right, who you went to the Super Bowl last year, and it's like, I was like, maybe the Steelers are going to be good this year.
Some injuries, whatever it might be, but it's going to be probably a long year for
well,
the Steelers
officially,
fan.
The Panthers and the Steelers are in the race for the number 1 overall pick. So Panthers got stomped by the 49ers on Sunday.
And
so
fired their coach. So
Yep.
That wasn't even close, yeah. And my Broncos aren't doing much better. I think we have maybe a better outlook for this year. We've had a tough schedule, but we're 2-3, and it's not looking great.
The offense has looked so bad.
So bad.
Yeah.
I had friends texting me like, "What are they doing? What is going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I mean, I'm not a coach.
Not what it's hyped up to be. No, Bailey, Cowboys in your house?
I cheer those
Bandwagon.
Cowboys on because it's happy football team, happy life. Happy wife, happy life, happy football husband,
Yeah,
happy life.
they're doing good. I mean, just Hawkeyes kind of stink, but the Cowboys are doing good. So maybe just tell them to do something, make plans on Saturdays, and then watch football on Sundays.
Tough year for the state of, or tough weekend for the state of Iowa.
All 3 teams lost.
Yeah, lost by less than 3. I think 1 point, 2 points, and 3 points.
Yeah.
Wow.
So tough.
I didn't even know that.
UNI,
Crazy.
Iowa State, and Iowa.
You and I, at the end, it was bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
So tough weekend.
Speaking of, and it's funny, so because we're getting into these questions and learn more about Kole and Cole, but Cole, I know this, I'm just stating this. Cole P wanted to be a teacher, coach. Cole J, we had a conversation. You wanted to be a coach. I've coached. And now it's funny, how have we all gotten to this point? So, first question, Cole Peterson, how did you get in the business? What past experience you got you to this point? Because you didn't become a teacher, but you teach.
Right. So I was in the golf business right out of college. I was an assistant golf pro over at Beaver Hills and Cedar Falls, where I went to school at UNI. And then I ran a golf course at Otter Grove, which is on the western part of the state. And at that point, I kind of thought I better get a real job. I was getting married to my wife, Molly, and thought I probably should get a real job and and quit screwing off with this golf stuff. So I just applied to a bunch of jobs in Des Moines at the time. I didn't even really want to take the job with Principal. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I needed a job. So I started as customer service at Principal Financial Group. Barely passed the Series 6 test because I really wasn't committed to it. But then once I got into it, I spent 12 years at Principal thinking I would be there maybe for 6 months to a year. And I spent 12 years there and learned all kinds of things about the business. Got more licenses, and I was able to do way more things. So my experience started at Principal. As far as being an advisor, I'd also started at Principal. I was able to help people in all 50 states with rolling over 401ks to IRAs. That was my main job, but we did life insurance and things like that. But my main job was just helping people with rollovers. And so that got my feet wet with that. But I really wanted to get to where I was helping individuals and families and couples with their retirement plan, where over the phone you can't really do a whole lot of that. So that's what brought me back to Fort Dodge. We found out we were having twins in May of 2016, and I started looking right away because they were being born in November of 2016. It took us about a year and a half to find the right situation and sign on the dotted line, but we moved back, and I started at November 1st, 2017 at Central Financial Group in Fort Dodge.
So when do you think you knew like you wanted to make that, like, I love this industry, I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I'm 12 years in, not 6 months. When did you realize, like, I'm going to be a financial advisor, that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to be my own business owner, my own boss? Like, what do you think, when did that click for you think?
Once we came out of the recession, so I was at Principal when the recession hit in 2008, 2009. And once we came out of that in 2012, 2013, things started returning to normal. And I got a job as a mutual fund wholesaler at Principal, which made me go out to advisors' offices and talk to financial advisors about our mutual funds. And then I was like, I think I could do this. Like, I started giving Social Security seminars and Medicare seminars for Principal for these advisors, and I was like, these advisors got a pretty good gig, man. They, they're if you can get some clients and you can get some money, you got to work hard. Obviously, I saw them all working really hard, but I thought that they got a pretty good lifestyle and they own their own business, and I wouldn't say there's a ton of risk involved as far as becoming a financial advisor, as long as you're good at it. That's the big thing, is you got to be a hard worker and you got to be someone that's committed to it. So
yeah, committed to helping people.
So to put the timeline in perspective, coming out of the recession would have been 6 years after you started, roughly?
Yeah, so, I mean, everyone's opinion of when we came out of the recession is so different. But I would say, 2013 or so. So it'd be about 7 years after I started at Principal. I was like, I think I could do this on my own. But you don't want to, it's also something you don't want to jump into because it is a commission only job. So if you jump into it and you do fail, it's not, you usually,
it's a hard fall.
It's a hard fall.
There you go.
You got to be surrounded by, being a good environment, I think, especially early on, which what helped you, I'm sure, was the experience of you had so much experience talking on the phone, talking to people when, emotions in this business were running a very high point. That probably gave you a ton of experience talking to people. And that's sometimes the hardest thing, is just dealing with, different personalities and understanding how people click. Yeah.
And I've said this on this podcast before, but a lot of our job is almost like counseling, calming people down and, or going through a death in the family. There's so many different situations that we deal with that it's not always about making people money. It's sometimes about making people happy a different way, and trying to take care of them the best way possible that you would take care of your own mother, father, brother, sister.
Definitely. Okay, Cole J. I don't know if I've completely heard your story. We talked on the side once. You were going to be a coach, going to go to the NFL.
Yep.
TV reality star. Didn't work out. When that did not pan out, how did you get into the business?
Yeah, so started taking some finance. I redshirted in college, so I had an extra. Basically, I played an extra year where I had already graduated, so I had to take some classes for eligibility-wise. So I started taking some finance classes, kind of learning about the industry. And I was interested in our industry prior, when I was kind of, hey, what am I going to do when I get done playing football and stuff? And, got into it. And that's where, obviously tried to play football, didn't work out. And I immediately was like, okay, who's someone I can reach out to that's in the business, kind of in the financial advisor space. I didn't know exactly what that even meant at that time, but I had a connection with a longtime financial advisor that worked for Edward Jones for a lot of years. very successful from the Jefferson area or in the area. So I reached out to him and just said, hey, what do you do? And just kind of learned about the business. And then I started, kind of exploring some other opportunities. But anyways, ended up, joining Edward Jones, kind of had a couple things in between, but went through their training program and really started from scratch, as Kole says. So I will say the beginning of this business, very tough, but I knew right away because I was looking, when I did get done with school, I'm like, okay, it was either coaching or going into this business. And I relate the two very, very similar. I feel like a coach, and we make the sports analogies and stuff all the time, but that's what we're doing. I mean, we're coaching people on their finances, on decisions and things there. And I really enjoy that. And I even coached high school. I didn't these past 2 years, but first few years out of school, I coached football and still kind of kept that competitiveness, but very relatable with how you deal with dealing with clients.
Yeah, and you can tell you both have that coach, teacher, heart mindset with your clients, which is great. Okay, I'm going to go into a heavy question because that kind of talked about your financial experience, what qualifies you, exams. You guys are both licensed. You both have a great number of years, and you're both entrepreneurs in my mind. So what is how has a failure set you up for success? Do you have like a favorite failure of yours, Kole P?
Favorite failure?
Yeah,
that's
tough
kind
question.
of like a double-edged sword, right? I don't know if it's a failure, but it's something that happened to me that was a big experience that probably shaped my life more than I thought at the time. So when I was a senior in high school, I herniated 2 discs in my back, and I was set to play college football and basketball, and the doctor told me that ain't gonna happen. So sports was my life at the time. And I didn't really, I didn't have another passion at that time. So I took the passion of becoming a different person, and it was tough. I didn't play any college football or basketball, and I played a little bit of college golf, and it was a different experience for me than I thought I was going to have. And, but it shaped me for the person that I am now, and definitely was a changing moment in my life for sure.
Yeah, that's a big. I don't think I knew that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and that's a huge adversity. It's hard when you identify, and then all of a sudden your identity kind of goes away. I think maybe Kole J could attest to that too. Once you're done playing sports, you're like, who am I? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, this is all I know, and this is all I'm known for. So.
Yeah, and I didn't think that would come. I knew it would come at some point in your life, but you don't think when you're a high school senior that it's going to come.
That would be hard.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just done.
Especially because of an injury like that.
Right.
And you're robbed of an opportunity because it is an opportunity.
Right. And it's not like I had like a Division I scholarship to go play football at Iowa. I was going to go to BV and play football and basketball. Probably end up concentrating on one or the other. I didn't know really what I wanted to do, but when that's taken from you, and you're just like, oh crap, now what do I do? And I was like, well, I'm okay at golf. I guess I'll go.
Yep.
I guess I'll go to UNI and play golf, and just walk on and see what happens. So that's what I did.
Awesome for you to look at it now, look back and be like, wow, that's changed me. That's kind of helped me through who I am, and this is my new identity. I think a lot of kids would crumble in that moment. So,
thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet.
Kole J, what about you? Biggest failure?
Learning a lot about the group today.
We're
Actually, I know we spend a lot of time together. It's funny how much you don't know still about people's backgrounds. But yeah, you talk about identity, and when I was looking at this question, I can think of sports situations, which I have a few of non-sports things, but I've got 2 that come to mind, I would say, and they're both football failures. One most recent is probably I was in camp with the Panthers, and the end of that, I still to this day remember sitting with a group of other guys that all kind of got cut and let go, and we're sitting in the airport, having a beer, and we're all like, well, what's next? And you're waiting for opportunities, and I still had other things lined up and stuff, but I'll never forget that. It was kind of a moment I was sitting there, I'm like, gosh, this sucks, because it's kind of getting dumped is what it's compared to, and all of a sudden you're like, well, that didn't work out. What's next? And I kind of had there's 2 moments in my life where I've tried to remember those moments. And that was one. I'll never, I have a vivid memory of that. And then the other one was, in high school, losing in the semifinals. That's just I'll never forget that. There's nothing like high school sports. Played football at all levels, and the emotions at the high school sports level is so much different, and you're tied to your friends and stuff, and those are, and not so much anything specific to that failure, is just something that sticks out as like a memory where it didn't end happily, but ultimately looked at it as a positive in the long run, and learned that, hey, not everything goes your way.
Life's tough.
Yeah, adversity. It's it relates to parenting, to being a spouse, everything. So
being an advisor, I always like the thing, you fail forward. I think the best thing you can teach is people is failing. Everyone's going to do it, and don't save people from failing, because that's how you're going to learn, and that's how you're going to be. All those things you guys just mentioned, I see you guys every day work. Like, that's why you're so dedicated to your job.
Well, we've had to share. I think Bailey should have. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I think Bailey should have to
I know we
answer
said
that.
we couldn't do all three of us on all three of all these
I
questions.
thought I was interviewing you guys.
But I think that's something that we need to hear from you. So what was your biggest failure or moment in your life that maybe set you up later for success?
Oh boy, I wasn't prepared. Honestly, again, gosh, probably when you kind of know this, but I went to Iowa Central for 2 years, great experience. And then I went to Sioux Falls, University of Sioux Falls, and played basketball. We actually made it to nationals. I missed the game-winning shot to get to the Elite Eight. We had lost a total of 7 games. 4 of the games were the same team, but I quit that year after. It was probably the best basketball I've ever played in my life. Super successful, but I was unhappy and I couldn't figure it out. And I forgot that there's other things going on in my life that aren't about basketball, and I quit. And sometimes I look back, I'm like, man, I knew, and I'd never paid for college. I started every game. People were shocked that I was quitting. I was shocked. I was just pretty lost, I think. But now looking back, for a long time, I was like, man, did I make the right decision? But actually, that team got inducted to the Hall of Fame the other week, and I just had a lot of closure, and it just hit me. I'm like, I got on so many great tracks because of quitting. It wasn't a healthy experience for me at the time, and it propelled me into friendships and relationships and coming back home and being with my husband now. I tell him I would have never got back together, just timing-wise. So it's kind of catapulted me to the spot today. So.
And when you say you didn't quit, you transferred.
Yes.
And you say quitting, but
to me, it felt quitting. Like,
right,
I quit on
right.
my teammates. I quit on my coach. But it wasn't the best situation, and some of the other girls were struggling. And looking back, some of them are still struggling. I'm not going to get in the depths of that, but to me, you don't.
Sometimes you have to make the best decision for yourself.
Yes.
That is not the best decision for maybe everyone else around you, but you have to make that decision. I feel like me and you have talked about this situation several times, so that's why I'm shedding some light on it. Because I think you emotionally and for your life to continue, you had to make that decision.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but at the time, it definitely felt like a failure. Like, people are like, you must not have played. I'm like, no, I played a lot.
I was a star, but it didn't work very well.
So thanks for bringing that heavy question on, guys. So we're gonna take a quick break because that was a little heavy, but as you can see, we're getting to know Kole and Cole. This will be fun.
This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital.
Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market.
Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarketwith2ks.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.
That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026 or visit our website www.spinmarketwith2ks.com.
All right, welcome back. I appreciate you guys' answers. It's hard to get men a little vulnerable, and you guys are advisors, and people need to know you as a person.
It's good distraction right now. A little craziness in the market world. A lot of things going on. So it's good to get our minds off something else. Get the listeners thinking about other things.
Let's go this way now. What is one of the best investments you've made into yourself, Cole Jaski?
Yeah, I don't have anything specific I can earmark, but I can think of 2 things that, relates to more to habits and things. And one investment I think I continue to be committed to is education. And I always preach this to like my clientele of saying, educate yourself. Make sure when you're making decisions, whether they're finance or whatever, or your loans, whatever it might be, make sure you're educated on the process or seek out the education. And the second this has been something more, I've tried to commit to reading a little bit. And I know we're in this digital world of everyone wants to listen to everything, and I'm included in that of like, people say, oh, I read a book, but really you'll listen to it on Audible. There's a difference to me, but I've actually tried to commit to physically reading, whether it's, very small in each day. And that's something that I find that I'm not a very good speller. It helps me spell, and that comes back. It does.
Right. We have a joke in the office that Bailey and Cole cannot spell.
Yeah. But, I'm good with words, but it's like I cannot, I don't know, something in my brain just doesn't click. But I find that reading helps.
That time you were writing on the whiteboard.
You don't want me writing on a whiteboard in front of people.
Get out of my way.
It makes it worse when people are staring. You're like, I know I can't spell. Now I'm thinking about it even more.
Yeah. It's easy when you're, typing an email by yourself. You just Google something and put it in there, But
also with computers, it autocorrects now.
Yeah.
Not if you're close. Gotta be close.
Yeah, but that's nothing to pinpoint directly, but those two things that I would say they're an investment in my time that I'm committed to doing ongoing, and I think education is very important, especially for the industry that we're in and being entrepreneurs.
Our time is so valuable because of the business that we run and the kids that we have and the wives. We have to make sure we plan out our days pretty carefully. So
and important to take time for yourself. So that's great. Cole P, what about you?
Yeah, I would say the most worthwhile investment, other than taking my wife on our first date, because that would be my most worthwhile investment.
Such a brown noser.
But moving back to Fort Dodge, it was at the time when I told people I'm moving from a job that I've been at for 12 years with full benefits, great 401k, all that stuff, back to a job where nothing was guaranteed, 4 kids, no insurance. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but I could see the future, and I think that future is coming into fruition. 5 years in, and it's working. And trying to talk your wife into that too. That was had great faith from my wife.
Molly had lived in Des Moines for a long time.
20 years.
Yeah, that's a big change. So she's
like, "What? We're gonna move where? Back to Fort Dodge? What are you gonna do? How much are you gonna make? I have no idea, honey." Well, how are we going to pay for insurance? I don't know. It'll work out. Just we'll figure it out. Just start packing.
We just had 4 kids. Let's move back. Change jobs.
Just start packing. We'll figure it out.
But you trusted yourself, which is a huge thing, and it's big risk reward. But it just talks about your habits and who you are as a person. So let me ask you this: what's a new behavior or habit that has most improved your life in the last 5 years?
So I would say establishing a work ethic. When I was at Principal, I realized that you have to have a work ethic to be able to move up moving up at Principal is basically the only way that you got paid more and got more responsibility and things like that. And you were really you were recognized for your work there. And if your time on the phone and your adherence of being on the phone, of taking phone calls, the number of phone calls. So if you were upper echelon of that, then you got more bonuses, more money, more things like that. And I was like, I kind of like this making more money thing. So I'm going to try to work even harder. So I think developing those habits and your behaviors of just when you go to work, you work, for whatever time to whatever time, you're there to do your job and to work. Now, when I go home, I try not to. I try to, pay attention to my kids and pay attention to my wife and things like that. But when I'm at the office, it's like I don't walk around and talk to people.
You're in go mode. Cole's lucky, and both of these guys, I mean, they're there at 5, 6 in the morning sometimes, just grinding it out before most people are even thinking about what they're having for breakfast. So kudos to that. I think it shows, is what I'm telling you.
That's our secret. You're not supposed to tell people that.
I know.
Well, I don't get that luxury.
That's the quiet time, because otherwise, I mean, during
we
the
don't
day,
want anybody else there.
There's so much, we've so much interaction each day. It's like I completely, it's
But it's habits.
decompression time, and you can get a lot done. You can get a lot done before anyone gets there.
Funny thing is, sometimes me and Cole are there for 2 hours by ourselves, and we don't speak to each other.
They're just bragging because they know I would do this, but I can't because I drop the kids all off in the morning. Luke goes to work at 7.
Bailey's envious of us.
They have no idea.
We say hi, and they go to our separate offices, and we really don't.
And we're right next to each other with the doors open, and we won't talk for 2 hours.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's such a great habit, though. I mean, you don't even think about it. You're just doing it, and you don't even probably notice it. Cole, what's yours? What's your most improved habit?
I would say over the last 5 years as I've evolved, in my professional career, being, with my family and my, other business activities that I'm involved in is I have this, and it's tied to leadership, but ownership, and there's a book, another book I read, and I don't want to get in trouble for making
we have to mail it in, but now I want to know.
Recommendations of the book, but it talks about extreme ownership, and that's something that I found like in all aspects of my life that I try to first when you're approaching a problem or maybe not a problem or something that you're not happy with, and if you come from it at a point of ownership first, you'd be really shocked of how it de-escalates a lot of situations. And, the person on the other side of that, whether it's leading an employee or a client or, you and your wife having a, conversation, I try to come from that perspective of like, what did I do incorrectly first, or what can I own first? What was my mistake before I point out someone else's? And that's something, from sport background, you've always heard that, you don't, as a leader, you don't blame, especially as a quarterback, it was kind of like you get, all the glory, but you also got blamed for losing the game if you threw the interception. So kind of came with it, but that's something I've really tried to evolve in my business life, especially with employees and people that I lead. And actually it's even at home, it's a huge thing because I struggle to separate business and home life sometimes. So it's a good habit to have at home.
Yeah. What a belief. Cause I think it's so easy, especially in today's world. It's what's happening to us and not what can I take ownership of. So that's, kudos to you. That's cool. Also, and I know what book you're talking about.
It's the whole, it's not your fault about my problem. It's what can I do to improve my problem or situation
I think
or whatever.
A common thing right now that I feel like we could own even as parents is you hear a lot of people mad about kids' behaviors, right? Teachers and things. And I'm a believer, one, it starts at home with the parents.
100%.
Kids are a culture of their environment. As parents, we need to own like, hey, we need to have a part in this. And that's something that I'm, not that I want to get sidetracked on political things, but I think as ownership and parenting of like, I need to do my part. And that's a big thing going on right now. I think that we could all, improve
lead
on.
better.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't get me started on that topic.
How about you, Bailey? Because you're big on behaviors and habits and things like that. What do you think has most improved your life in the last 5 years, or something that you've...
Oh, for sure. It sounds so corny. I think I started this right after having kids, but I do a gratitude journal every morning. And I'm telling you, it like rewires your brain. It's like scientific, but every morning
so I don't know what that is. So explain what that means.
So every morning I write 5 things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that my kids are healthy. I'm grateful I have the opportunity to go to work every day. And I'm grateful for this cup of coffee, whatever it may be.
That's awesome.
That's
I write
cool.
5 and then I write my 10 I ams. So like these are things I want to do, but I'm not quite doing them yet, but I'm already saying them like I'm doing it. Like I have hard conversations with my husband in the moment. I'm getting real because I'm telling you what I write down, but like, you know what I mean? I write my financial goals, my religious, I just write who I want to be. And so then every morning I kind of wake up and I know like I'm a person that makes impact at work. So like
you do this every morning? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
And then I keep them in
awesome.
I have them actually saved in my safe. So someday, like, I hope my kids can go through them and be like, wow, like just having them, I'm trying to teach myself and my kids, like, have a vision for yourself. Like it's like a good vision board for your year. So that's probably my best habit.
The grateful part.
Yeah.
That's, just from the perspective, at least what I've seen, it seems like more and more people live, so they're ungrateful, they're unhappy, they're unthankful. To constantly put that in front of you helps you live a happier life because of it. If you're going to constantly live, if you're going to be upset and ungrateful and whatever, you're never going to find the joy of, well, these are the good things in my life.
It would be easy to complain, and then I'd write it down sometimes, and I look at my life, I'm like, wow, like I'm so blessed. So that was cheesy, but that's really what I do. And it is really a game changer. It helps with like work, life, who you want to be as a spouse, all good things. So
I just wrote that down. That's something
I know.
I'm going to have to maybe do sometime.
I would recommend it to anyone. And then another thing, I started budgeting over the last 5 years, and game changer, just bringing this back. So I'm going to change subject because I want to get off me. What is your favorite part about your job?
You know what?
Yeah, Cole J, let's get back to
you know, we're going to continue. I've got two. I like to always have two examples, kind of ones. But I know two that come right to mind. First and foremost, coaching. I at heart am a coach at heart. Like, I love to help people, love to see people succeed and kind of evolve. And then the second one, I think this is more happening now as I've, gotten to year 7 in the business. Around that time, I'm actually seeing people retire that I've worked with for 5, 6, 7 years now. And that's a really cool thing when all of a sudden the light kicks on. They're like, hey, I'm retiring, or I'm pulling the trigger, and they've built up a nest egg, or, we've designed a plan that says, hey, here's where your retirement income is going to come from. And they feel very comfortable. That's very satisfying to me, or you help someone make a decision that you can see like the stress is like lifted off their shoulders. A very fun moment to go through, but specifically the retiring, seeing people like, that
Make
smile.
it.
Yeah, that smile, like, boom, I'm done working.
And they feel good about it.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
Confident.
They're happy and they're very comfortable.
That's something I always do on Money Guide Pro is I wait till they come in when they've retired, and I'll wait and I'll switch them from employed to retired in front of them and be like,
ta-da.
Isn't that cool?
Yep.
It's like, that's pretty awesome. And it's going to be even more weird like when we see people that are, maybe only like 10 years older than us in 20 years retire that we've been helping for 20, 30 years, because we've really, only been helping people for, 5 to 10 years or something like that. But it's going to be even more strange, like these people that have been saving with us for 20, 30 years that are retiring.
And you start working
walk
with kids
alongside them.
of clients that
It's
you've
a
had for
very
20 years, and
rewarding-
all of a sudden you have their kids or adults, and it's very evolving and fun to see.
You're kind of watching you know what I mean? It's like you walked alongside of them.
Yeah.
Now they're grown up, and you're like, wow, I helped you,
Yeah. It's like mentoring basically.
Yeah.
So,
all right, Cole P, your favorite part of the job besides working with me?
right. So basically the same things Cole said, helping people and helping them to retirement. So I'm going to give an example of like how we help people. And it's not always about necessarily dollars and cents for us. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I'm just going to give you an example of something that happened recently. I had a client come in, and his wife had recently passed away. And we went to look at the life insurance that she had through her work, which she had recently been let go because she had been sick, and things were just not in the right place for her to continue to work there. Well, when she got let go, her work insurance, typically you can take that work insurance with you when you quit a job. And one company was telling her that they had sent her the packet. The other company was saying that they had sent her the packet. Well, come to find out, nobody had sent the packet out to her, and she was never given the option to continue with the life insurance. So I can get into more details on that if somebody have questions on how that works. But basically, nobody had sent her out this information on this $80,000 worth of life insurance that she could have paid 3 premiums. We knew she was going to pass away, so we would have paid the premiums. So we got on the phone with these people, and I spent probably 3 to 6 hours on the phone trying to figure out who we need to talk to get this money paid out, because I felt strongly that it needed to be paid out. And we eventually did get it paid out.
You did it. You clapped for yourself, Cole.
But that's how we help people.
Yeah.
I mean, would have my client spent that time on the phone and known what the questions to ask and known the things that we know, and that some people, talk about, what they would pay a financial advisor and things like that. And then sometimes it's just priceless advice because you don't have to do it yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
And you knew that he had the right to that money, and he might not have known that. Like, he didn't understand the in-depth of it. Yeah.
Making sure,
Yeah.
like, hey, no, these calls need to happen. We need to have this communication. A lot of times the client just won't, especially when they're grieving. That's the last thing they want to do is go and argue with a life insurance company when, in the
They
situation.
coulda gave up
That's
easily.
good. That's an awesome story. I haven't heard that story. So
And kudos, I'll clap for Cole. He doesn't want to toot his horn, but he got after that, and it's life-changing money for people. So what are some bad recommendations, Cole? You talked about expensive or how much you pay.
So I would
what is
say
a bad recommendation you hear about our profession, like a misconception?
Yeah, a misconception. I would say that a lot of people think it is expensive to meet with a financial advisor. Typically, a financial advisor doesn't charge you any. It's not like a lawyer or attorney that we charge like an hourly fee or anything like that. So it's not typically expensive, and a lot of times the commissions or what we get paid comes from an insurance company. So if you buy a life insurance policy from us, you don't pay us anything for that life insurance policy. You're paying the company for the life insurance policy. We're getting paid basically what's called kind of like a finder's fee for placing that policy from the insurance company. So a lot of times you're not actually paying us money to have your life insurance, do your investments. There are fee-based investments that we do, but when you're doing a fee-based investment, the more money you make, the more money we make. So obviously we're kind of in it together. So I would say, if you've thought about meeting with I need more help, or I need, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Talk with a financial advisor, and they'll disclose, if they're fiduciary, they'll disclose the fees up front and talk about that with you before you pull the trigger on moving any money or anything like that. They got to go through that with you.
Right. Like a good advisor will take care of you, and we're not just out here charging fees. So Cole, what's a misconception or a bad recommendation you hear in this world?
yeah, I guess I would go with anyone if you're seeking out advice or speaking to a financial advisor, and the first thing they do is start talking recommendations, or very early on in the process, probably not the right situation to be in. As fiduciaries, our primary objective is to figure out the goals and the comfort education of the client versus their situation, right? You have to, that's why, some people don't like it because we turn into interrogators,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're asking these questions. Hey, what'd you pay in taxes? What's your, incomes? All those things, because we have to have that information to make if you want a recommendation that we feel comfortable with, we have to know the situation. And that's where, unfortunately we've all had stories or had clients where they bought something else where we're sold a product. I would say there's a difference between being product-based versus solutions-based. And I think that's where I've always wanted to be like, hey, if there's an issue or a goal, I want to provide the most appropriate solution, not, just the first product that comes to mind.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
If you have a financial advisor that uses the same product all the time,
for everyone,
they're product based because they're not giving you the best thing out there, or they're not doing the research on what is the best thing for people and what fits every situation. So we don't put everybody in the same account because it doesn't fit for everybody.
It's really getting to know the person and who they are, what are their goals, because no one's picture is the same, getting all the right puzzle pieces.
I've probably done 150 to 200 different Money Guide Pro plans. Every one of them looks different.
Yeah, I know.
None of them look the same.
All right, I'm going to end on this question then. I'm going to change gears. Those were great answers, excuse me. But this is a heavy one again. We're going to end on a heavy one.
No crying.
Yeah, or do, because I think it's great. Men are allowed to cry.
You're going to have to answer this one too.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, Cole P, focus. Who is the most influential person in your life?
Well, I'm not going to say person, but people.
Yeah, do it.
My dad and mom really instilled in me a strong work ethic when I was growing up. So I don't think there's anything that they did that didn't show me that you got to work hard. You can have a lot of rewards, but you got to work hard, and you got to put your mind to things, and you can accomplish a lot of things if you put your mind to it. There was a lot of times in my childhood where I didn't understand what they were doing, but now I do.
Yeah.
So it's kids out there. I know that my kids probably aren't going to listen to this, but maybe my 12-year-old listen to your parents.
It's that
They
fail
know more.
forward. You gotta let them fail, because
Yep.
that's like you don't see the full picture. Because my dad said no to me on some stuff. We would butt heads, and now I'm like, oh,
Yeah, they know more than
right.
you think they
Yeah,
do.
it's time.
Always do.
Cole J.
Yeah, this is easy for me. My great grandma, who raised me, I'd say my older portion of my youth life. Parents were divorced, or really never actually. My parents were never married, so But always had a split home, kind of chaos. I have a crazy family, and my great grandma Florence was a pretty stable figure always in my life. That's where a lot of I remember still, being 6 years old, my brother being 10, we're going to Tom Thumb's, and she was making sure we hold the door open and things like the old fashioned farm lady, but she was a sweetheart and did everything for us. And she was a one person, some of the people close to me will laugh at this, but she was the one person I could feel very comfortable. And sometimes my temper, if I was frustrated with things, not at her, but like frustrated, and she'd always go, temper. She'd always do that. So I'll never, for all my, even as I was in my 20s, and she'd see it come out every now and then, and she'd go temper, and for years. So that was, that's an easy one for me, but she had a big impact on my older brother's life too. I bet he would say the exact same thing.
That's awesome. Florence holding the fort down, man. She sounds like
All right, Bailey, your turn.
You're not going to get out of this one, Bailey.
I've been blessed with a lot of coaches, a lot of great people in my life in and out, but honestly, I would say my dad is my most influential person, and still to this day, it's really cool to see it full circle, because when I was younger, I was wild and I like to live life.
No way.
I just love to push people's beliefs and do everything else differently. And I was the oddball in my family, but he was always influential in sports and life, especially sports. He was at I always tell him this. He didn't see how big of it was, but he was at every single game of my growing up, which I can't tell you, just the support there. And now it's cool because he's so business savvy and intelligent. Now it's like full circle. Now I ask him about stuff at work and life, and it's really cool. He's definitely the most influential person in my life for sure. Caleb,
Nice.
you want to throw someone in here? Shout out?
Yeah, sure. I'll do this one, I guess, since I haven't answered any of this.
Pulling teeth over there.
yeah.
I guess.
Yes. No, for me, it's definitely my dad. I think you guys already kind of covered almost everything that I would have said in the sense of why it's my dad. He's always been such a great example for me of who I want to model my life after. A hard worker, takes great care of his wife and his children and his family. Family first. That's always been a big thing for him. So family first, hard worker, just those two things are just like, if I could do it exactly like he did it, I would,
You'll do it your way, but with his way too.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to first off thank these guys for getting a little vulnerable at the podcast, right? I mean,
out of my element.
Yeah,
for sure,
I know Cole J is like hiving over there if
That's
you could
tough
see
for
him.
me.
But I think it's important because it's important we understand our clients, but it's also important for them to understand who they're listening to and who they're taking recommendations from and what's your education and what shaped you and kind of person. And I think, if anything, this episode's very telling that you're in great hands if you were with Kole and Cole, and just I appreciate you guys every day. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to end each podcast on a quote, and this is a good one for today. It's going to be a sports quote every time. A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. John Wooden.
Go Cubs.
You've been listening to How to Money with Kole and Cole, the podcast of Essential Financial Group, courtesy of Spin Market. Learn more about the Central Financial Group on their website, www.centralfinancialgroup.com.
For now, I'm Cole,
And I'm Cole.
and we'll see you on the greens.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associations Incorporated, member FINRA, SIPC. Royal Alliance Associations Incorporated is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associations Incorporated. Material discussed is meant for general informational purposes only, and it is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. Diversification does not insure against loss. Any guarantees discussed refer only to fixed insurance products and are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.